Welcome to a new episode.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Connection podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris Bailey, and if you're a student, apprentice, or anyone working towards a career in the trades, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into something that's absolutely transforming the construction industry. And trust me, whether you're studying plumbing, electrical, carpentry, or any trade, you need to understand this. We're talking about on-site versus off-site construction methods and why knowing the difference could seriously level up your career. So picture this. Your first day on a new site, your supervisor hands you a set of plans and says, we're doing modular construction on this one, and you're standing there thinking, what does that even mean? Is that different from what I've learned at college? I've been there. We've all been there. And that's exactly why today's episode matters. So let's start with the basics, and I promise we'll make this interesting. Think about construction like cooking. Stay with me here. Traditional on-site construction is like cooking a meal completely from scratch in your kitchen. You've got the raw ingredients, all the tools, and you're doing everything right there, step by step. It takes time, it requires skill, and if something goes wrong, you're dealing with it in real time. Now, off-site construction, that's like those meal prep kits. A lot of work has been done in a controlled environment, so a factory, and then delivered to you ready to assemble, which is faster, more consistent, but it requires a different approach. Here's what's fascinating. Before 1920, everything was traditional on-site. We're talking solid wall construction, suspended timber floors, traditional cut roofs, skills craftsmen spending months, sometimes years, on a single building. Beautiful work, but incredibly time-consuming. And you know what? These traditional methods are still being used today. Brick and block construction is still the most common method for building homes within the UK. So if you're learning traditional skills, don't let anyone tell you they're outdated. They're fundamental. But here's where it gets really interesting for you as a student or an apprentice. When you're working on a traditional on-site project, you need to understand two critical phases: first fix and second fix. And I can't stress enough how important it is to know the difference. So first fix, this is everything that happens before the plastering comes in. For you plumbers and heating engineers, this is when you're installing your pipeworks, your conduits, your trunking. Everything that's going to be hidden behind walls and ceilings. One of my mates, let's call him Danny, was a first-year apprentice. He didn't quite understand first fix timings. He waited too long to run a heating pipe. The plasterers had already finished, and he had to chase out a freshly plastered wall. His supervisor was not happy, cost the company time and money. Don't be like Danny. Second fix, this is after plastering. Now you're installing your radiators, connecting your taps, fixing your accessories. The visible stuff, the stuff the client actually sees. Understanding the sequence isn't just about passing your exams, it's about not making expensive mistakes on site. Now, let's talk about the different construction methods you'll encounter in your career. Let's start with timber frame construction, super popular for residential work. You've got your studs, your rails, your boarding creating a structural frame. It's like building a skeleton that holds everything together. We have steel frame systems, think bigger, office buildings, retail units, factories. Steel has amazing strength to weight ratio. You've got your columns carrying loads down to the foundations and your beams transferring loads from the floors to the columns. It's called a skeleton framework and it's been used for decades because it works. Then we've got container construction. This is the cool new kid on the block. Shipping containers being converted into buildings. They're modified in factories and delivered to site. I've seen some incredible student accommodation and even cafes built from containers. They're sustainable, fast, and honestly, pretty impressive. Here's something that might surprise you. Straw bale construction. Yes, you heard that right. Straw bales. They can be used for both structure and installation. They are incredibly sustainable. Now, You're probably not going to encounter this on every site, but it shows you how diverse construction methods are becoming. All right then, so let's talk about the future, because this is where things get really exciting. Modern construction is being revolutionised by technology. We're talking robotics, drones, 3D printing, even self-driving vehicles on construction sites. Drones are being used for surveying. They can quickly map a site, check access routes, and even do condition surveys on tall buildings. No more sending someone up a dodgy ladder to check a roof, so they're safer, faster, and more accurate. Self-driving vehicles are handling retrospective tasks like excavations, moving materials around site. They're working alongside the human workforce, not replacing people, but making the work safer and more efficient. And 3D printing. It started in the 1980s, was crazy expensive, but now it's become genuinely practical. Printers can create building elements in a factory or even print structures directly on site. But here's what you need to understand as someone entering the trades. This doesn't mean your skills are becoming obsolete. It means your skills are becoming more valuable when combined with this technology. The industry needs people who understand both traditional craftsmanship and modern methods. This is your competitive advantage. Now, let's get into some offsite construction and prefabrication, because this is generally changing how we are building. Prefabrication means building components in a factory environment and delivering them to site, and there are some massive advantages. We have time. Buildings can be made watertight way faster than traditional methods. A modular building can go up in weeks instead of months. We have quality. Factory conditions mean consistency, quality control, no working in the rain, no materials getting damaged on site. Waste. Prefab systems produce significantly less waste, better for the environment and better for costs. And labour. And here's something important for you to know. Prefab systems often require fewer skilled trades on site. Now, that might sound a bit scary, but actually it means the skilled trades that are needed become more valuable. You're not doing retrospective tasks, you're doing the complex problem-solving work. Let me tell you about modular construction, specifically because you're going to see more and more of this. Modular buildings are made from repeated elements, modules produced in a factory and delivered to site. Think of it like Lego, but for buildings. Standardised components that fit together. I visited a modular housing development last year. The modules arrive on trucks, fully fitted out, plumbing, electrics, and even the kitchen installed. A crane lifted them into place and they were connected together, and boom, a house was essentially completed in a day. The traditional build would have taken months. But here's the thing. These modulars still need skills trades to connect the services between the units to do the final commissioning to problems when things don't quite line up perfectly. That's where you come in. We also need to talk about precast structure and pre-constructed panels. Precast concrete, that's concrete cast in moulds in a factory, left to cure in perfect conditions, then delivered to site. Super effective when you need repeat elements like stairs or wall panels. Pre-constructed panels, they can be entire walls, complete with windows, doors, made from timber, steel, concrete or masonry. Mass-produced off-site, installed on-site. The advantage, consistency. Every panel is identical, no variations in quality, no weather delays during construction. Now, here's something they don't always emphasise enough in college, but it's absolutely critical. Maintenance. Building maintenance is the process of keeping a building looking good and functioning properly. And as a tradesperson, maintenance work is going to be a huge part of your career. Lack of maintenance leads to decay, degradation, reducing performance, and guess who gets caught when things go wrong? You do. There's a cosmetic maintenance, which is painting, replacing floorings, updating fixtures, surface level stuff. And there's structural maintenance, dealing with the load-bearing elements, serious repairs and major upgrades. Here's a reality check. When buildings reach the end of their useful life, they become financial burdens. High maintenance costs, consistent breakdowns and outdated systems. That's when refurbishment comes in. And refurbishment projects are gold for tradespeople. You're removing old systems, installing new technologies, bringing a building back to its life. It's often more sustainable and cost effective than demolishing and rebuilding. The refurbishment process involves condition surveys, stripping out old elements, removing hazardous materials like asbestos, that's specialist work, and then installing a new design and commissioning everything. So, what does that all mean to you? Whether you're studying plumbing, electrical, carpentry, or any trade, you need to understand that the construction industry is evolving rapidly. Traditional skills are still essential, they're your foundation, but you also need to be adaptable, willing to learn new methods and understand how technology is changing the way we build. The tradespeople who thrive in the next decade will be the ones who can work on traditional brick and block homes on a Monday, a modular construction on a Tuesday, and a refurbished job on a Wednesday. Versatility is your superpower. So here's my challenge to you. Next time you're on site or in a class, ask questions. Ask about the construction method being used. Ask why that method was chosen. Ask about the first and second fix timings. Ask about prefabrication. The more you understand the bigger picture, the more valuable you become. Not just a pair of hands, but a skilled professional who understands the entire construction process. Okay, so that's it for today's episode of the Copper Connection podcast. I hope this has given you a clear understanding of on-site and off-site construction methods, and more importantly, how this knowledge can help you in your studies and your career. If you found this helpful, please hit the follow button, leave us a review, and share this episode with a classmate or fellow apprentice. We're building a community of trade students who are serious about their careers, and we want you to be a part of it. Got questions? Want us to cover a specific topic? Drop us a message. We read every single one. Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and remember, every expert was once a beginner who refused to give up. I've been Chris Bailey, and this has been the Copper Connection podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.
We'll be back next week. In the meantime, please subscribe and thanks for listening.